Okay. We are at item 1.4.1, adjourn special board closed session at 7:05 and adjourn the special board open session. 2.0, convene the regular Board of Education open session meeting at 7:06. And Jasmine, would you like to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, 2.3 roll call shows everybody is here. Item 2.4, report on special board closed session. We heard information on a employee dismissal and action was taken. And I'll report out on that now or later? Now. I'm going to report out now. The board took action of a vote of 5-0 to terminate employment of Assistant Foods Services Manager Employee ID DZ 7339547 effective October 9th, 2014. And it was, the motion was made by Mr. Hammond and seconded by Mr. Wong. Okay. Also, we heard an expulsion case and have tabled it till our next meeting. Item 2.5, order of business. Is there any change in the order of business? None? Okay. 2.6, minutes from the regular board meeting from September 24th. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Ms. Mariconda?
Board Member Williams.
Yes.
Board Member Wong.
Yes.
Board Member Hammond.
Yes.
Board Member Gilliland.
Yes.
President Zuko.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Okay, now we have communications, fun parts. I'm going to go over there. Okay.
There he is.
Okay, tonight is high school night for the Board of Education. Why don't you come on up here, Mr. McGinnis, as the face of Monrovia High School. Tonight, we wish to recognize and congratulate Mr. Randy Bell. Mr. Randy Bell, you want to come on up here? Okay, Randy Bell is our athletic director of Monrovia High School and a teacher, and the 2014 recipient of the CIF Southern Section Jim Staunton Champions for Character Award. Well, that's pretty cool. Hey, see? That's cool. Okay, theirs is a lot better than ours. That was certificate. Okay, the CIF Southern Section Ethics and Sports Committee created this award to recognize athletes, coaches, administrators, officials, schools, and media members that model the 6 pillars of character: trustworthiness, respect, responsibility, fairness, caring, and citizenship. The Jim Staunton Award was named after longtime CIF Southern Section Commissioner Jim Staunton, who championed these 6 pillars of character. Mr. Randy Bell teaches, enforces, advocates, and models the value of good sportsmanship, treats everyone with respect, and includes parents as partners in his efforts to promote good sportsmanship. He equips staffs, coaches, administrators, and students with the training and tools needed for effective character-based behavior, and as a visual reminder of the importance of sportsmanship, tolerance, and positive behavior on school campus. His values important life lessons and ethical behavior and great strides. He values important life lessons and makes great strides to make sure the school recognizes that the athletic program supports the academic program and the academic success of the school is the highest priority. Congratulations, man.
Thank you. Sometimes you need to take a deep breath. Count your blessings. Specifically, I want to thank Wayne Tang, our volleyball coach. His energy was behind the nomination for this award to the Ethics and Sports Committee at Southern Section. I want to thank my family. I want to publicly thank my wife, Mari Bordona, for her patience with the work schedule of a high school athletic director, for being my staunchest advocate, as evidenced by this gaudy display. I want you to know that I appreciate this recognition. In my estimation, this is as cool as it gets. simply because, excuse me, as I like to say, we're in the business of building up kids, and it trickles down from you to school admin, to me, to our coaches, and to the kids themselves being held responsible for building each other up. So it's wonderful, and I appreciate it. I also want you to know that this belongs to a heck of a lot of great kids and coaches, not just an athletic administrator. So thank you so much.
If you can get the gaudy display, we would like to take a picture with it and the get it, Mr. Bell and Kirk, since you're here. There's more. Hold this too. That's your pretty word.
And then we need the gaudy display.
Where's the banner?
She was already quick. She already got it. And since I have Mr. McGinnis up here with me, now we're going to recognize the following Monrovia High School nominees for the National Merit Scholarship Program. And if you, the five of you want to come up as I call you, you just stand right here and we'll give you certificates, then we'll take our pictures together. Okay? We have Trinity Carwile, Melissa Johnson, Evan Lunchbaugh, Austin Newton, and my favorite, Bonnie Zuko. Mr. McGinnis is going to talk about the program, and then we're going to give certificates and then take pictures again.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Good evening, board. Thank you for this opportunity to help recognize some outstanding Wildcats that we have before us. These young individuals have participated and have been recognized as commended students in the National Merit Scholarship Program. A few years ago, they took the PSAT test, and based upon their outstanding achievement, they were nominated and recognized as part of 5 Monrovia High School students, part of about 50,000 students nationwide, for their excellent achievement. This is a competition, and there is a scholastic scholarship at the end. Unfortunately, we were bested by some other folks in the nation, but however, I find it near and dear to my heart for these 5 young individuals to recognize, because for many of them, I've known them for a long time. And for us at Monrovia High School, we're proud. We're proud to have them in our hallways, proud to have them in our classrooms, and proud to have them as part of our larger school community. They are role models for their peers. They're role models for their underclassmen, and I'm proud to be here this evening to help recognize them. So once again, to each of you, congratulations. First of all, on behalf, am I presenting these on behalf of the board? Oh, exciting. Okay. Can I invite them up? Okay. Would the board please join us at the front so we can congratulate these 5 students? Come on.
Yes, sir.
Oh, sorry. I'm one step ahead of me. So the Monrovia Unified School District Board of Education wishes to recognize Miss Trinity Carwile. They would also like to recognize Melissa Johnson. And Evan Lunchbaugh. Austin Newton. And Bonnie Zuko.
Okay. Now would the board like to join us, Mr. McGinnis, and we'll take a picture, which will probably end up on Facebook somewhere. You want to go the other way? I should go the other way.
Good job. Good job. Good job. Good job. Good job. Stand there for a little while.
So Bonnie and Melissa want to stand a little bit in front of. There you go.
On the count of 1, 2.
Thank you, everyone, for coming for this. It's great to be able to recognize not only how well our programs work on the field, but in the classrooms, and thank you very much.
Nope. Very brief.
Okay, item 3.2, board member reports. Mr. Gilliland.
Just real quick, I want to say thanks to the staff and administration at both Monrovia High and Clifton. Had great boardwalks at both schools. We're going to hear a report from you guys, but appreciate the opportunity to just visit with you and hear what's going on at the site, and to visit a few classrooms to see how that's going. So thanks very much to everyone.
Thank you. Mr. Hammond?
Ed took my speech. I'm through. Thank you.
We're very efficient up here. Item 3.3, report from our student representative.
Okay. So, we have our college fair, which is on Tuesday, October 14th. And just a few schools that'll be there will be Arizona State University, Assistant Pacific, Cal Poly Pomona, Citrus College, UC Riverside, UC Davis, and many more. We also have our homecoming dress days, which are Monday we have pink wear, Tuesday college wear, referencing to the college fair the following later that afternoon. We have crazy high sock wear on Wednesday. Thursday we have plaid, and Friday we have our class colors. And then on October 17th we have our homecoming football game against Temple City. And the following night we have our homecoming dance, which is themed There's No Place Like Homecoming, after the Wizard of Oz. Tickets are $50 with ASB and $55 without. And on October 23rd we have our first blood drive. They want to at least try and receive 118 pints, trying to beat our record for 100. And October 27th through the 31st is Red Ribbon Week. We are going to, I believe Monday, start tying ribbons around the campus and have a table so students can pledge to be drug-free. On October 31st, we have a Halloween costume contest, and in order for that to work, we have permission slips that must be signed by their parents and have a requirement of what can be worn and what can't. On October 17th, we're having AMP Radio visit our campus. October 25th, we have Make a Difference Day, and we're just trying to get as many volunteers as we possibly can. And lastly, on November 17th through the 21st, we have our Random Acts of Kindness Week, which is being performed by ASB. And basically, our Random Acts of Kindness are, we're going to have posters that have motivational quotes on them all around campus. We'll have necklaces that have some type of compliment, and just basically give them out to any student just to brighten up their day. And I think we have other stuff planned. I'm just not quite sure at of what's going to be there. But I think that's it.
Thank you very much. I need that part. Thank you. So you are welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting, or if you need to go home and do homework, you are excused. So thank you very much. Item 3.4, report from the superintendent. I believe we have two.
We do. We have both Monrovia High School and Clifton Middle School here for a brief presentation. And as who's first?
Monrovia High School.
And as Mr. McGinnis gets to the podium, I would also like to mention Legally Blonde, which I enjoyed over the weekend, and it was a spectacular production. Thank you, Mr. McGinnis, and your entire team for putting on such a fine show.
You're more than welcome. All right, good evening, everybody, board, cabinet, community members. Thank you for this opportunity to share a few moments with you. Number one, initially, I want to thank each and every one of you for participating at our board visit this last week. It was a wonderful opportunity to share our vision with you, spend an opportunity looking through some classrooms, and I want you to know that your feedback was well received, very valuable, and we were very pleased to have that opportunity, so thank you. This evening, I'll share a few tidbits of information for you as we continue on in our vision as we move forward. Our vision is simply stated, but is indicative of and a result of a lot of hard work. All my department chairs and school leaders came together at the end of last school year and spent a retreat, spending time to figure out to make sure that we were all on the same page in terms of what we wanted for our kids. And this is what we came to. We believe that we have a shared effort to meaningfully engage students so that they can achieve success. Then that success may look quite different for every child, but we know that they can achieve that. We believe that we are educating the whole child. We believe that every student counts, and we will make sure that we see that student succeed. And last but not least, we want to make sure that we make student-centered decisions based on the data that we see. Who are we at Monrovia High School? Our enrollment has steadily increased over the last few years. We are now at 1784, just under 1,800 students. We are using absolutely every single classroom that we have available to teach our students. We have about a 4% population of EL students, and we can count them by number. We know them by name, and we have specific plans to ensure that their success. About 10% of our students are identified as students with special needs. We are 58% Hispanic, 25% white, 10% African American, and about 47% of our students are receiving free and reduced lunch at this time. Our goals, as I shared with you at our visit, are focused as well. And they're directly connected to what we've established together as a district to address the local control accountability plan. So they're simple in number: student engagement and student achievement, and a focus on literacy. This year we have 5 school-wide campaigns that we're embarking upon together as a group, and those school-wide focus areas are lesson delivery, the implementation of data walls, sheltered instruction for all of our English language learners, identification and support for our students that are struggling, our targeted student population, and PBIS, which is positive behavior intervention and support. And I think we spent some time talking about that on Tuesday of last week. All that being said, these are our focus points. These are the aspects of our professional development. These are the topics that we will be embarking upon together as department leaders and seeking out opportunities for support as we go forward. Our student achievement goals are enumerated and monitored in these various areas. Our 11th grade Common Core state test this year, our class pass rates. We want to ensure that our students are meeting the expectations set out for them in the course of study. We're paying attention to the California High School State Exit Exam for all of our 10th graders. Our 11th grade, as part of the Common Core State Test this year, the EAP will be integrated with that assessment, and that is a measure of how ready our students are to matriculate on or graduate on into college. The California English Language Development Test is the CELT, and that monitors our progress that we're making with our students who are learning English as a second language. So we want to ensure that they are progressing in each of the 4 areas: listening, speaking, reading, and writing. Of course, our advanced placement tests, and we monitor our graduation rate and our A through G completion rate. A through G are the UC assigned credits and for students that meet the eligibility for the UC and four-year university. So I'll talk a little bit about that. And then we also monitor our attendance and our suspension data, as we all know that when students are in our seats and receiving that good first instruction, that's the best opportunity we have, so we want them there. Let's dive a little bit deeper into each one of those. As you can tell, at 3 years at a glance, our KC numbers we've made some significant progress in some of our areas. Most notably, and you see 2 different categories here, we have English Language Arts and Math, and we have a pass rate and a proficiency rate. So the top line is English Language Arts passing. Students need a score of 350 or better to pass the KC. Our state and federal guidelines measure proficiency as 380 and above. So that's why we have 2 columns there. So we want to ensure that our students are passing so that they can graduate, but we also, to address our AYP requirements, we want to ensure that they are proficient or above. So that's why we have 2 columns. And you can see as our student population is increasing, our pass rates are increasing significantly in both ELA and math. And our proficiency rates in ELA are remaining steady at 66% and improved in our math proficiency. Last year, we attribute this spike or this increase of our math because of our targeted KC Saturday boot camp. We had 5 weeks, 4 hours each day of an opportunity of an intensive intervention for our 10th graders to be prepared to take the KC test for the very first time out. We did a diagnostic. We looked at multiple measures of their performance and invited students to participate in this KC boot camp. That was successful. This year we have plans to ensure to implement that very same Saturday boot camp, but we also would like to grow that, and my RTI team, my response to intervention team, is working right now to establish that for an after-school program as well, in addition to our tutoring program. The EAP, you'll note that there are three categories. There's ready, conditional, and not ready. We want our students to be in the ready category. So based on their performance on the EAP, which is in the past it was is a separate standalone test. This year it will be incorporated with the SBAC test that all 11th graders will be taking. You'll note that 28% of our students in 2014 were ready. That means that they can go right to a college class and are ready to. They do not need to take a placement exam. They are ready to, in many cases, step into a level, English level 1 or math level 1 or above, depending on their scores. And we are have identified each of the students in the conditional and not ready category, so that we can target instruction for them as we move forward, target interventions so that we can get them into that ready category. Okay. The next 2 graphs are our AP and our CELT. You'll notice that in the last few years we've had a steady increase of 2 very important pieces. One is the number of AP students. You'll note that in the last, from 2013 to 2014, we increased significantly in the amount of students that are taking AP classes. We attributed that to the open access opportunity. We did away with a lot of the gates that were preventing students from participating in high-level rigorous coursework. So you'll see that we had more students in our AP classes and more students taking AP tests. And even with that increase, the percent of students getting a 3, the AP test is graded on a rubric of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 3 is passing. So 3 or above, our score, number of students passing has increased. This also, the other aspect, over the last 2 years, we've added 2 additional AP classes. We added an AP Human Geography for our 9th graders, and then this year we added an AP European History class. So we have more opportunities for students to take rigorous coursework, and we see that they're continuing to be successful. The last graph I want to share with you tonight is our CELT, which is our opportunity to pay close attention to our English language learners. And at the high school, they are few in number, but very focused for us. And we believe at the high school that it's not someone else's situation or responsibility over here. It's everybody together, because these students are in all of our classrooms. At the very bottom, there's 5 categories. There's beginner, early intermediate, early advanced, and advanced. And I put the bottom 2 numbers in bold because in order, the federal government is monitoring and helping to support us to make sure that we reclassify the English language learners. And in order to do that, they need to be part of their program needs to be in early advanced or advanced on the CELT test. So last year, for example, in 2013, we had 19 students that were eligible to reclassify. Based on our multiple measures, we were able to reclassify 11 of those students, and that's 15.1%. The target is 15%. So we just made that goal. This year, you can see that we have 27 students that are eligible at this point to reclassify. Our goal is to meet that, if not more. Okay. At Monrovia High School, we are home to Scholars and Champions. We've had this opportunity to be recognized by the U.S. News and World Report as a Silver Award-winning school. We have a lot to offer for our community, a lot to offer for our students. And like Mr. Bell, I'll echo something that he mentioned earlier. We cannot do it without your support, certainly, the support of our wonderful staff, and the hard work of our students and families to help reach those goals. So with that, I conclude my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any clarifying questions if you have some.
Thank you, Mr. McGinnis.
You're welcome.
Does anybody have any comments on the visit or the presentation? I do. I really appreciated being able to spend more time in the classes as we walked through the campus. Sometimes it almost feels as we're kind of it's like a, lack of a better term, kind of a hit and run. We kind of just breeze through and kind of catch a few things. So it was nice being able to spend a little time in there, and didn't feel like we were as disruptive, but really got a flavor for what was happening. And the cheat sheet we had to kind of keep track of what we saw, what we recognized, and kind of had that later as a discussion. So it was really very helpful. I really appreciate how it's been kind of revamped from previous years.
And I can also say that was one of the primary feedback pieces that our teachers shared with us, is that it was nice that people actually came in and sat down and got to hear a little bit about what we're doing in our classrooms. And I agree, the more opportunity you get to spend in our classrooms, the more comfortable people are. My teachers are used to having people come into their classrooms. That's not the issue. They want you to stay longer. In fact, many of them said, gosh, if they only could stay a little longer, they would have been able to see, and they fill in the
really
blanks.
get going, and then yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So thank you.
Mr. Wong?
Yeah, well, our fear is if we stay too long, they're going to start asking us questions. So we got to go beforehand.
Or put you to work.
The one thing on there that really kind of stood out on your presentation here is, over the last couple of years, as funding has been cut, and there's always this concern on how schools are cutting programs, and we're starting to go to the lowest common denominator. You had a slide on there showing how we're doing with our AP testing, which is the other end of the spectrum. And if you look at where we were just 2 years ago, it's just amazing, because the number of students who have passed in the last year is almost the same number of total students that even were involved. Mm-hmm. So, that is just an incredible accomplishment. Not just
on the students' part to be able to get through this because those courses are incredibly rigorous. But for the staff to pick things up and to get behind the program in order to have that type of a success rate speaks volumes. And I just think it's just yet another thing you can look at to see why your high school, and I say your high school because you are the man in charge, has done so well and continues to do well.
Thank you.
Thank you. I believe that's all.
Okay.
But thank you very much, and thank you.
You're
and
welcome.
it's kind of Monrovia High School night, not to put Clifton at but it's great seeing all the great things happening there. Thank you.
Yeah, and thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight.
Thanks for the help on the certificates. Dr. Trosian, do you have someone else in the queue?
We do. We have Jennifer Gates, principal of Clifton Middle School, who has entourage apparently with her.
That's you guys. You're the entourage.
So we also had the opportunity to visit Clifton Middle School, and this provides just a little more information
It's movie
about the
time.
great things going on there.
I think this is yes.
Board meetings are getting better.
That Live, Die, Repeat movie is really good. It was a good movie with Tom Cruise. It was good. It's funny. Not that he died so many times, but it was funny.
Thank you, Jason. Good evening, Board of Education, Dr. Tarosian, and cabinet members. I'm excited tonight to present on behalf of Clifton Middle School and tell you all of the amazing things that are happening there and basically where we are in our journey to excellence. So I'm going to take you through the greatness, and if you have questions, you'll have that opportunity at the end. So last year we had, were charged by Dr. Tarosian with following the 7 C's. And so what I've done this evening is I've categorized what we're doing in each of these areas because I think it's important for you to see that we are keeping these at the forefront of what we're doing in terms of our goal setting and monitoring what's happening and providing rhyme and reason for why we do what we do. And everything that I'm going to go through tonight is basically what makes up our single plan. It's embedded into everything, validated through data, and it's really putting us on the road to a new place, which I'll share at the very end that I'm very excited about. So to start things off, talking about who we are at Clifton, you can see that there are 668 total students, and you can see the demographic breakdown there with 52% of our students are in the Hispanic subgroup, 29% in the white subgroup, 10% in the African American, and the equal 4% up there are the Filipino and Asian subgroups, and then finally our other category represents the 1%. So out of those students, we have 5% who are English learners, 15% who are redesignated, and 7 of those were just redesignated a couple weeks ago. 47% of our students are free and reduced lunch, 8% of our students are special education students, and 32% of our students are GATE identified. So when we talk about the change, this is what we have been focused on in terms of looking at what the data is telling us and putting together things to address what the data is telling us. So starting off with our campus-wide PBIS campaign, we have been very focused on looking at student expectations very differently. And as I shared with those of you who were on the visit yesterday, we had a group of both teachers and non-teachers volunteer in April to come together and put together a plan over the course of a few months to start to address how we choose to handle issues that arise with students, student conflict, student disruption, in terms of not resorting to punitive measures, but what can we do to not only teach it, but build kids up, and hold an expectation for them that creates an atmosphere and a culture that is truly supportive and positive in nature. So we had a group of 16 people join the assistant principal, Courtney Glass, and I to start this movement. And the exciting part of what's happened is that they've taken charge. And so they have developed basically expectations for our campus that we are only in the beginning phase of, to teach what we expect and reward what's happening, essentially to change the culture. And that in itself, for those of you that were on the visit, you saw the binder that I shared with you, is very intensive. And there's a lot of work to still be done with PBIS, because we're only focused on what we would refer to as the tier 1 portion of this behavioral RTI model. We still have to develop what happens to the students who don't respond to what we're trying now. And that is probably going to take the next year to develop and implement, but we're excited about where we are and where we've been, and in a little bit I will show you what's happened as a result. Where you see the 5 teacher campaigns, our department chairs came into this room back in May with Santa Fe's department chairs, and they made a commitment. What are the 5 things that we want to focus on, that we will bring back to our departments, that we're going to do collaboratively, and we're all going to do them? And so I'm proud to say that this piece is teacher driven. The administrators were in the room with them, but this is definitely not something that came from us. We are now here to support it and make sure that it's happening. So first of all of our core classes are now specially designed academic instruction in English, meaning that English learners who have language proficiency levels of 3, 4, or 5 will go into any core class. They don't go into a designated class. That way they are sprinkled out throughout our master schedule in hopes that that will in turn positively affect their student achievement. And in the same regard, we can work on SEDI instructional strategies with the entire teaching staff as one, versus pulling out select people to focus on those things. So we believe that this is going to be something that is going to do wonders for our English learners and lead to a faster redesignation rate. The second campaign is pleasure reading. I'm sorry, that font is very small. We've taken what was already part of Clifton's culture, which is our SSR period, 15 minutes a day except for our shortened Wednesdays. And we have taken away silent sustained reading in a sense of we are now allowing kids to choose what they read as long as it is school appropriate, because what we know is that research shows that if kids are choosing what they're reading and they're being held accountable through discussion about what they're reading, and it's not tied to something like an academic grade in that short moment of time, that the idea behind wanting to read will flourish. So we are in the process of instituting this as a new campaign at Clifton, and the teachers are facilitating group and individual discussions with students as a result of that individual pleasure reading. And we're hoping that this in turn is going to help some of our non-readers, struggling readers, students who were always kind of bogged down with the idea that they're making me do this because it's part of a grade, that this will then inspire them to start to do better in their academic courses. So that's our second campaign. The third is our targeted student campaign, where all teachers on campus choose 2 students per quarter that they're going to place emphasis on. So it's looking over them academically, providing social emotional support, reaching out to them in ways that maybe are not as easy to do, like at snack or lunch or before school type of setting. It's completely up to the teacher how they choose to do that. But we're hoping that that's going to build a connectedness and a culture that is going to foster positive results with those kids. As I already mentioned, our PBIS campus-wide movement is the 4th campaign. And what I did not share when I previously talked about that is that when we kicked off the school year this year, on August 18th, when all of the teachers returned, Mr. Glass and I were not the 2 people at the front of the room who were presenting on what we're going to do and how we're going to do it, and this is what here's what's in your binder. The neat part of where we are is that it was peer-to-peer support. So it is the PBIS team at Clifton who got up in front of their colleagues and presented what's going to happen. And I believe that is why we are moving at such a rapid rate, because of the number of people behind it and the support that the colleagues are giving to one another. And then finally, data walls. making sure that students are involved in assessing not only goal setting, but where they are and where they want to be. So in every classroom that you walk to or walk into at Clifton, you will see that there is a version of a data wall posted for students to be able to access that. In addition, we're in a full implementation year of English and Math Common Core standards, which is a lot of work for our teachers, and we're making sure that we're providing as much support and debrief time for them as they endure this process. And I'll get to a little bit more detail about what's happening in those two areas in a later slide. We also have instituted a new special education push-in model at Clifton, and we are continually and will be continually reflecting on its effectiveness and what needs to be changed, what needs to be added to the plan. But basically, students are now in classrooms with two teachers. There's the general education teacher and the special education teacher, and it is not a co-teach model. What the special education teacher is doing is that they are taking what the teacher is doing, either before the lesson or during the lesson, and they are scaffolding it for the needs of the students in the room. Those needs are based on ability, IEP goals, and just struggling in general, because it doesn't have to be an IEP student who's getting the support. So we have a couple different things happening within that, and what we're hoping from this is that we're giving those students greater access to grade level curriculum that is in turn going to boost their achievement levels, because that is an area that we wanted to place emphasis on based on our last CST scores with special education. Also, our parent education and involvement piece, we have some amazing parents who have come together and said, what can we do to build up different groups here at Clifton and get people doing more? And so I'm going to share in a later slide what's happening with that, but we really are excited about the opportunities we're going to offer to our parents and also allow them a voice to share what they would like to see developed at Clifton, so that in turn we end up getting more of a support. And then finally, a targeted intervention plan for at-risk students, otherwise known as academic RTI, response to intervention. We're going to use our first quarter grades. The quarter ends next Friday, and we're going to take those grades that are posted in addition to a GPA analysis from last year. We're going to put together a plan of an extended school day that will be targeted for those kids who need it, so that we are hoping that from this point forward, we will never have kids who do not promote from Clifton onto Monrovia High School, and we will in turn raise every individual child's achievement levels, especially as we head closer to our Smarter Balance assessments in the spring. So moving on to the area of compassion, some of which I've already talked about, but this is how we would categorize them. We believe that how we're addressing this goal is through positive reinforcement, rewarding the expected behaviors. And one thing I want to clarify that is when we say rewarding the expected behaviors, it's not what Daniel Pink in the book Drive refers to as carrots and sticks. It's not if you do this, then you get this. We are not bribing them to achieve. What we want to see is that they're doing it because they want to do it, and in turn, we're going to surprise them with rewards. So they never know what's coming and they don't know what they're working towards, and I think that's an important piece to see. Also celebrating successes, big and small, individual, school-wide, whatever that looks like. Those pictures that you see up there are the UCLA game last Saturday night against Utah. 100 kids there based on receiving positive Cub cash for doing the right thing. And that was an exciting evening. And then the targeted student campaign, which I already talked about. Just every single teacher on campus picking 2 kids per quarter that they're going to place emphasis on. In the area of collaboration, this is exciting. We have joined forces over a year ago with Santa Fe and are now holding our professional learning communities with them. Being that we're both small schools, sometimes we find that there's only one teacher teaching a certain grade level of a certain subject. And while that can be introspective and you're looking at your data and you're saying, okay, why did kids do well here and they didn't do well here? If you can't share that with somebody who might have a different instructional strategy that may work better to address that standard, that's tough. And so what we've done is we've put them together, and on certain days, after all of our common assessments are given, we bring them together to analyze their data, to follow a data analysis protocol, and then to talk about how they're going to use that to inform their instruction, to make change for the kids. So that's an important piece. Also, department and grade level collaboration, making sure that we're giving those teachers that time every month to come together to share their best practices, talk about what's happening in the campaigns and what they need to do to better address the standards. And then the last two, our instructional rounds treasure hunts are something that we started last year that we're very proud of. It's department chairs leading instructional walks without the administrators. And what they're doing is they are going through classrooms and they are identifying things that they would like to try. And they're actually having to write up what they're doing and how it went within a short period of time after visiting. So we're calling those treasure hunts because we feel that some of the best and most important work that can be done is from a teacher learning from a teacher. So we're proud of where that's going, and that will continue on this year. Hasn't started yet, however. And then our data collection walkthroughs, simply going through, and we have different focal areas that we're placing emphasis on. For those of you on the walk yesterday, that was our kudos form. And so when we're going through classrooms, Mr. Glass and I, we can simply tally what we see and then share that data back to the staff to say this is the frequency of rigorous questioning that we're seeing, or this is the frequency of literacy supports that we're seeing, or this is the frequency of SEDI strategies that we're seeing, so that there's some feedback to move on. In the area of community, I'm going to start with that picture. That new staff lounge that for those of you on the visit were sitting in yesterday was renovated this summer by some spectacular people who are parents at our school. And I took this idea when I visited China last May. So with our business sponsors and our partnership recognition, making sure that we promote who's doing what for us, we were able to get the support of people to come in and put in new flooring, painting, furniture, a flat screen TV. Everything you see in there is a gift, and we feel very fortunate to have that at Clifton, and what a treat for our staff members who really deserve it. Our Adopt a School involvement, I'm making sure to keep those important people close to Clifton and inviting them to everything that we do and celebrating them. And then our church partnership, who has done an amazing job to take care of our students and staff members at Clifton in many, many different ways. In terms of communication, this is what I said I would talk about later. That flyer that you see there will be our first ever Parent University Night coming up in November. And this was the idea of those 4 individuals who came together this year and said, what can we do different? How can we draw people in? And so what that night's going to be about, because it's a reoccurring question we keep getting, can you tell me more about Common Core? What should I see my child doing? And how can I as the parent better support my child? And because that's a reoccurring set of questions, we've decided that this was probably something that we want to educate parents on. Of course, we're going to couple it with food trucks, so don't know how you go wrong that evening, but we're hoping that that will draw a crowd. We're going to have our math teachers presenting a math presentation. We're going to have our English teachers presenting an English presentation, and then we're going to have a parent group presenting on what would you like to see developed here at Clifton. And they're going to be breakout sessions. The presenters will rotate, and hopefully by the end of the evening, they will walk away with something more valuable in terms of not only getting involved, but thank you providing me with valuable information how to support my child. And then using all of our groups to make sure that we are staying connected. PTA, school site council, ELAC, our volunteers who are part of none of that, who just simply come to help in the offices and in the library, and keeping communication ongoing and consistent through our website, our phone messages, our marquee, and our first ever quarterly newsletter will be going out with report cards next month. It'll have 9 stories about the new happenings at Clifton, and hopefully we'll be able to draw in a different type of support than the typical letterhead letter that usually goes home. So we're hoping with a different feel and a different look, people will maybe start getting excited about some of the things they've never known about that were happening at our school. In the area of critical thinking, this is obviously completely related to instruction. In our language arts classes, expository reading and writing comprises now 25% of the curriculum, and this is an exciting piece that our language arts teachers have been working on since the spring of last year. They were trained, they chose which module they were going to use. Expository reading and writing was developed by the Cal State system to better prepare students for college readiness. And so while that was a lot of change fast, I have to tell you that, and people were scared when the year started because this was going to be new. They have embraced this, and they have started to see things that they never thought were possible with middle school students. And that is the exciting part of where we're at, and we're not even to the end of first quarter yet. So we're really excited about what's happening with ERWC. Our math department has chosen which math curriculum they're going to pilot, and all those are short spurts of time. They were just trained this week from one publisher. They're going to start to experiment with those materials and see what they feel best fits in the realm of Common Core. And hopefully this is going to better drive how they choose to work and dig and adjust their pacing guides to meet the needs of students and prepare them for the smarter balance. In terms of science, although we're not in an implementation year of next generation science standards, we are excited that this is a learning year for that. And we already had exposure to some of that last year. We're going to continue to get our teachers exposed and educated to what is coming for implementation next year. And then finally, literacy across the board. Of course, we all know that language arts teachers are not responsible for the reading and writing components anymore. It's all core teachers. And so what are we doing to provide the training and the supports to our teachers so that they can truly help their students read and write better? And, you know, for some subject areas, there is trepidation, but we feel that if we continue to expose, allow them to collaborate with others and learn from each other, whether that's on the same campus at Santa Fe or even outside of our school district, that it's going to better prepare them for being more comfortable in that realm. In terms of creativity, as I just mentioned, it is my job and Mr. Glass's job to provide support to teachers where needed. This is where we get teachers to flourish, so we need to have a listening ear and make sure that we can put together feasible plans for them to not only we maintain high expectations for them, but it's reasonable, and get them good at something before we give them something else. Part of the reason why the theme of this year, Staying the Course, is what it is. Building capacity in teacher leaders, that's already transformed at Clifton, and we're going to continue to do that so that they don't see themselves as just a communication liaison, because they're not. They are teacher leaders that have a different level of expectation than their colleagues, and that their colleagues can come to them for pieces of information related to teaching and learning and provide supports to them just as administrators can. We need to be sure that we're doing that for them. And then finally, finding new ways to reach and connect students in every way possible through organizations, additional clubs, listening to their interests, figuring out how we're going to do things that they want to see, and making sure that we, as that picture says, leave no cub behind. This is what I'm very proud of, because I've been at Clifton for 3 years now. This is the start of my 4th year, and this is our suspension rate. One piece of data I wanted you to see visually, because I think this is compelling. We have dropped our suspension rate by about 20% in the last 3 years. And although we're just implementing PBIS, I already can't wait to see what 14-15 is going to look like. But we started things over the course of the last few years, and we have decided to look at things differently and really pay attention to things. So I think we're onto something great, and I'm going to continue to get out there, including my teachers, and learn from other schools that are PBIS schools and PBIS districts, so that we can continue to steal ideas and make them our own and get those numbers down maybe to nothing. So what are our goals in progress? We definitely have to continue our work in the Tier 2 and Tier 3. So what are the kids who, within our PBIS world, those that are not responding, what are we going to do to continue to provide that response to intervention? So those are pieces that are in the developmental stage at Clifton. An entire academic RTI model, Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3, because we are in the process of doing that now, and we'll use, like I said, a GPA analysis and our first quarter grades to identify the who and the how. Development of our robotics club, debate club, and power savings club. So I'm excited. That's 3 big clubs happening at the same time, and although a lot of work, robotics is a long time overdue for Clifton, being that we have the high school program that we do and a very robust program at Santa Fe. So we're very excited about that, and a competitive debate club that will go out and compete against many other schools, most of which are private except for Northview and Doherty. And then finally, last but not least, apply to be a Schools to Watch school. Schools to Watch is an initiative that focuses on teaching and learning and social emotional supports for students. So having worked previously in a high school environment and going through WASC many times and having served on a WASC accreditation committee, when you have something like that that gives you leverage to be able to look at who you are and what you're doing, we feel that we are going to put ourselves in a position to become a Schools to Watch school. And at this point in time, all of the department chairs are excited about this process. We have a rubric from which we are going to base things from. We are going to put things in place, and we are going to keep applying until we get it. And I think the feedback from that process and the guidance and leadership from the people in this district who are inspiring us to go out there and do this is going to get us there. So I'm excited about this, and not sure what will continue on in terms of distinguished school, but we did it last year. So hey, if that continues, we'll keep going, and blue ribbon, and the list goes on. So thank you this evening for giving us this opportunity to share. And are there any questions?
Thank you, Ms. Gates. Does anybody have any questions for Ms. Gates on our tour? I did hear, we still have parents that are at Clifton, and I was just blown away by their project this summer of the lounge room. When I first walked in, I did think it looked like a pottery barn, and I thought I was in the wrong place. But it was, I was very relaxed when I walked in there. It did the trick. I mean, maybe a water feature would bring a little zen moment to the lounge. But again, it was great, and being able to see some of the same teachers my children have had, and some I hadn't, but had heard of, and getting to see how well things go in their classroom. It was great. I love being on that campus. I know sometimes middle school is not everybody's favorite place, but it's just a really wonderful campus, and you can tell all the teachers just really have embraced the entire culture that you're creating with Mr. Glass. So thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gates. Dr. Trosian? Thank you very much. Okay. Item 3.5, public comment for items not on the agenda. The Board of Education encourages public participation and invites you to share your views on school business. If you haven't already, please complete the yellow sheet of paper and hand it to Ms. Mariconda, the board secretary. In order to finish board business in a timely and efficient manner, the public comment session for items not on the agenda is limited to 30 minutes. And Ms. Mariconda, do we have any comment for items not on the agenda?
Yes, Madam President, we do. Skylar Kane.
Skylar Keen. Kane. Hi.
I'd just like to take a moment to advertise the MHS Marching Band Christmas Tree Fundraiser.
Ooh, that's my favorite. Seriously, it's a great tree.
Yeah, we have both Douglas firs, Noble firs, and Grand firs. And they're fresh, and to order them, you just fill out this form, give it to one of our boosters, and then just show up the weekend they're delivered and pick them right up instead of having to wander around looking for the perfect tree. We'll also trim down the tree trunks and deliver it to any residents within Monrovia, Arcadia, or Doherty for $15. And it's to support the various expenses for the MHS marching band. So I'll just leave these out on the table outside if any of you are interested.
When are the orders due?
The orders are due November 7th.
Great. And when do you deliver? Because that is my favorite $10 to spend, is to have it show up at my house. 15 now? Totally worth it.
Let's see. We have the pickup on December 6th, so I would imagine we would deliver around that time.
Great. Thank you very much. And yes, please, can you give them to Ms. Mariconda so she can give them to all of us and we can put them out for you? Ms. Mariconda in the red jacket.
Christmas jacket.
It's Christmas colored. Thank you very much for coming. Ms. Mariconda, do we have any more comments for items not on the agenda?
We do not.
Okay. Item 3.5.1, comments for items on the open session agenda. Do we have any of those?
We've received no request to speak.
All right. Item 4.0, the consent agenda. Routine items of business are placed on the consent agenda, have been carefully screened by members of staff, and will be acted upon with one motion. Upon request by any person, any item can be pulled and considered in its location. Do we have any items to be pulled? Okay. All right, then may I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? Ms. Mariconda?
Board Member Hammond.
Yes.
Board Member Williams.
Yes.
Board Member Gilliland.
Yes.
Board Member Wong.
Yes.
President Zuko.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
All right, item 6.1, public hearing and resolution on sufficiency of textbooks or instructional materials. So I will be opening a public hearing for the purpose of receiving information relative to the topic of the adequacy of textbook funding and the availability of textbooks or instructional materials in the district for use during the 2014-15 school year. Do we have any comment on this public hearing? No? Okay. I'm going to close the public hearing. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Dr. Kaiser?
Yes, the textbooks have been accounted for, ordered, and placed in the hands of students. We did have a physical review of Monroe School, passed with flying colors. So once again, Monrovia Unified School District has sufficiency of textbooks.
Wonderful. Ms. Mariconda, do you have any questions for Dr. Kaiser, anyone? Ms. Mariconda, the vote?
Board Member Gilliland.
Yes.
Board Member Wong.
Yes.
Board Member Williams.
Yes.
Board Member Hammond.
Yes.
President Zuko.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Item 7.5, Carasoft Technology Corp. contract for rapid identity software by Identity Automation. Do I have a motion?
I move we approve the purchase.
Second.
Is this going to be Mr. Buchanan? It's technology. I'm just going to take
Yes,
shots.
it is.
Okay.
Yes, we're asking the board to approve the purchase of the rapid identity software by Identity Automation from Carasoft. This software will allow the technology services to automate and manage staff and student data transfer between our various information systems. Any questions?
And we're buying this off the state California multiple award schedule, so we save some money on that.
Yes.
Thanks.
Any other questions for Mr. Buchanan? Thank you, Ms. Mariconda.
That was a good question, Mr. Gillen.
Board Member Gilliland.
Yes.
Board Member Hammond.
Yes.
Board Member Wong.
Yes.
Board Member Williams.
Yes.
President Zuko.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Item 8.3, joint initial proposal for topics for the 2014-15 CSEA district negotiations. I believe it's just to receive. Mr. Jackson?
Yes, indeed. The Board of Education is requested to receive and present for public review the joint initial proposal of topics for modification for the current California School Employees Association, also known as CSEA, and the District Collective Bargaining Agreement, and to reserve time at its next regularly scheduled meeting on October 22nd, 2014.
Okay. Any questions from anybody on this proposal of topics? Thank you. Item 8.4, joint initial proposal for topics for the 2014-2015 MTA district negotiations.
Following suit, the Board of Education is requested to receive and present for public review the joint initial proposal of topics for modification of the current Monrovia Teachers Association, also known as MTA, and District Collective Bargaining Agreement, and to reserve time at its next regularly scheduled meeting on October 22nd, 2014 for public input on the proposal.
Thank you. Item 9.2, resolution proclaiming October 19th through 25th, 2014 as America's Safe Schools Week.
So moved.
Somebody's pointing at me.
Second.
Note. Oh, here it is. Okay. Do I read this? Okay. Monrovia Unified School District commits to provide its students, teachers, and staff a safe, secure, and peaceful learning environment. This is also one of the 8 priorities under the Local Control Accountability Plan. Safety awareness has been heightened, evidenced by the collaboration among the city, school district, and community with various committees. Safe City, Safe Campuses Steering Committee, or SC Cubed, 'cause there's 3 of them. District Safety Committee, school site safety committees, including a comprehensive safety school plan, emergency disaster preparedness team, and a school emergency response teams. Thank you, Connie. Is there any other questions about this resolution? Ms. Mariconda?
Board Member Williams.
Yes.
Board Member Wong.
Yes.
Board Member Gilliland.
Yes.
Board Member Hammond.
Yes.
President Zuko.
Yes, I'm
Motion
sorry.
carries 5-0.
Okay. Next one. Item 9.3, resolution proclaiming October 22nd, 23rd through 31st, 2014 as Red Ribbon Week. Love yourself, be drug free. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
That's more of a rhetorical, philosophical question than maybe it's just out there. But as more states legalize marijuana, how relevant is this kind of thing? It just occurred to me today as we're selling. I don't know, but that's maybe.
Maybe once we legalize it, we can have this discussion.
I know.
But
I'm just saying.
until then,
just
we'll let other
mull
states
that over
have
in your
that
head.
conversation.
As you're saying, you know.
Well, that's Colorado.
Yeah, and Washington.
Washington.
How's it going? Do you guys do Red Ribbon Week still? I mean, because you're saying some are okay. I don't know. It really, you know, that's all I have. Ms. Mariconda.
They're having more of an opaque week than.
It's kind of pinkish hue.
Board Member Wong.
Yes.
Board Member Gilliland.
Yes.
Board Member Hammond.
Yes.
Board Member Williams.
Yes.
President Zuko.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Item 9.4, pending board issues. Dr. Trosian, is there any?
While there are no real changes on the pending board issues, and we have been following the schedule accordingly, I do want to note for our minutes that item 9.1 has been tabled just
Okay.
as part of the order of the
Thank
agenda.
you. Item 10.1, next regular board meetings. We'll be meeting again on October 22nd at 7 p.m. And then on the 12th of November, we'll be recognizing our Teacher of the Year from Plymouth, a TK teacher, bless her heart. New business, dates to calendar, October 11th will be the Citrus College Centennial. So if you have ever attended the school or supported, maybe you want to head over to the stadium between 2 and 6. There'll also be a celebration of the arts that same weekend here in Monrovia at Library Park. And on the 19th, the Taste of Old Town Monrovia, which is always fun, and it's $50. Our next board walks, 11.2, will be the 14th. We're headed over to Canyon Oaks Mountain Park, and on the 28th, we'll be headed down to Santa Fe Middle School. Is there any other new business that I see pointing and shrugging? Do I need to? No, I'm good. I'm trying to be observant, so I'm like noticing.
I couldn't figure it out.
Okay, it's okay. So item 12.0 is adjournment, and we will adjourn at 8:15.